Perspectives in Psychology. Presentation. Slide. Hello, my name is Timothy, and today I will be presenting my Unit 9 presentation on perspectives in psychology. Accordingly, psychological perspectives describe the theories that are used to view and/or approach psychology through a particular lens, whereas there are several psychological viewpoints, including behaviorism, cognitive, psychoanalysis, psychodynamics, biological, and social psychology, among others. I will focus only on two standpoints, behaviorism and social psychology. Therefore, the objectives of this presentation are as follows. 1. Offer succinct descriptions of both behaviorism and social psychology. 2. Evaluate the fundamental assumptions of the psychological perspectives. 3. Assess the contributions of key theorists in both theories. 4. Examine the similarities and differences between the two perspectives in psychology. 5. Analyze the application of the two perspectives to contemporary issues in psychology. Slide 2. Codified and popularized by John Broadus Watson, an American psychologist, behaviorism is emphasized on observable behaviors, and it highlights the role of learning through conditioning. McLeod, 2024. This perspective is distinct from other approaches because it regards people as controlled by their surroundings, particularly considering them as the result of what they have learned from their environment. Thus, behaviorism is a school of thought that emphasizes the study of observable, measurable behaviors over internal mental processes. This perspective theorizes two main ways through which individuals learn from their environment. These include classical and operant conditioning, McLeod, 2024. 1. Classical conditioning involves pairing a neutral stimulus with a naturally occurring stimulus, leading to a learned response over time, as famously demonstrated in Ivan Pavlov's study with dogs. 2. Operant conditioning focuses on how reinforcement or punishment can modify voluntary behaviors. Behaviorism is based on a few key assumptions. According to the behaviorist approach, learning is achieved through both classical as well as operant conditioning. The former process is learned through association, McLeod, 2024. For instance, in Pavlov's experiment with dogs, it was believed that the sound of a bell ringing was associated with eating. Therefore, dogs will salivate when they hear a bell ringing in the future. The latter form of conditioning is the idea that learning is through both positive and negative reinforcement and punishment. For example, Skinner experimented with rats and positive reinforcement in the form of food, which was always given whenever the rat pushed a lever. As soon as the rats learned this strategy, they continued to press the lever in order to receive more food. The other assumption of the behavioral perspective is that people are born as blank slates and that they learn everything from their surroundings. In this postulation, it is alleged that humans are born the same. However, social norms and environment shape their behavior, McLeod, 2024. In the same way, from a behaviorism standpoint, it is presumed that internal mental states are not essential in understanding behavior, McLeod, 2024. This notion underscores that outside stimuli cause all action and can be learned without regard to internal mental consciousness. Slide 3. The key theorists in behaviorism are: John Broadus Watson is the founder and popularizer of behaviorism. The American psychologist was noted for the Little Albert experiment, where he showed the conditioning of human subjects, McLeod, 2023. Ivan Pavlov discovered classical conditioning. It was Pavlov who showed how the dog would salivate when presented with a bell or an objective related to food, exploringyourmind.com, 2018. Boris Frederick Skinner is the one credited for developing the operant conditioning process, whereby both positive and negative reinforcement, as well as punishment, were discovered by the theorist to become tools that affect the behavior of an organism. Slide 4. In 1920, at Johns Hopkins University, John B. Watson and his assistant Rosalie Rayner conducted the Little Albert experiment. This study, aimed to investigating the process of classical conditioning in a human subject, was a milestone in the field of psychology. The subject of study was a stable, not very emotional 11-month-old infant boy referred to as Little Albert. The researchers sought to condition Little Albert to fear a white rat by pairing the presence of the rat with a loud noise. As the experiment progressed, it was observed that Little Albert not only developed a strong aversion to the white rat, but also extended his fear response to other furry objects. In evaluation, This demonstration of emotional conditioning in a human subject was a significant finding in psychology, but it sparked considerable ethical controversy. McLeod, S. 2023. One of the primary concerns surrounding the Little Albert experiment was the emotional impact on the infant. Little Albert's emotional well-being was not adequately considered, and there was a lack of informed consent from the child's mother, raising significant questions about the treatment of human participants in psychological research. The Little Albert experiment remains a subject of significant debate within psychology, sparking ongoing and relevant discussions about the ethical use of human participants in research. Slide 5. Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov is well known for his work in classical conditioning, a type of learning in which a neutral stimulus, such as a sound, starts to elicit a response after being consistently paired with a stimulus that naturally triggers a response, like a reward. Pavlov's contribution to psychology was his famous experiment with dogs, where he accidentally discovered classical conditioning. During one of his experiments observing dogs' salivation rates in response to food, he noticed that his lab assistant's approach caused the dog to salivate. This experiment led to the theory that an animal's response to food is a learned behavior with associations between the neutral and unconditioned stimulus, also known as a conditioned reflex or Pavlovian psychology. Evaluation. Pavlov's groundbreaking work has been highly regarded in various fields, as his experiments provided insights into the development of phobias and practical applications in behavior modification and therapy. However, critics argue that classical conditioning does not consider complex human actions, such as thinking, reasoning, and memory. It also overlooks the role of mental processes and assumes that individuals have little control over their reactions to stimuli, as associations can be formed between environmental stimuli and physiological responses. ExploringYourMind.com, 2018. Slide 6. Burrhus F. Skinner was an American psychologist who is known for his work on operant conditioning, a concept that continues to shape modern psychology. He thought that humans and animals can change their learning in response to events occurring in their surrounding environments. His contributions to psychology are his developed concepts on operant conditioning, which is when learning occurs through rewards and punishments for behavior, operant conditioning. Skinner carried out experiments on rats, where he looked at their feeding responses by placing them in a puzzle box known as the Skinner box. It recorded the rats' behavior within a specific time limit, where they were rewarded or punished for engaging in specific behaviors. These experiments identified 3 responses: neutral operants, reinforcers, and punishers. This allowed him to create psychological experiments that could predict repeatable outcomes. Skinner's work has inspired practical applications in various fields, from education to animal training. Evaluation. Despite Skinner's theory still being used in psychology today, it has sparked significant controversy. Many critics feel that his results are heavily based on animal experiments, especially in rats and pigeons. This questions his findings, as it ignores the mental capacity of humans. Critics also argue that verbal behavior cannot be explained by Skinner's theory. It does not take into consideration cognitive factors. Instead, it focuses heavily on the surrounding environment. Slide 7. The other psychological perspective, which is social psychology, is concerned with how people feel, think, and behave in particular social contexts and interactions. This theory evaluates how human beings influence each other by considering the power of the prevailing experiences. The standpoint is significant in discerning the behaviors of individuals and how their social surroundings and interactions affect them. McLeod, 2023. According to social psychologists, individuals' thoughts, feelings, and actions are shaped by social situations. This means that individuals are more likely to alter their behaviors to correspond to the current social state. Social psychology's key assumptions are: there is an interplay between individual minds and the broader social context. Behavior can vary significantly based on the situation or context. Personal beliefs, societal norms, and past experiences influence our perceptions of reality. Human behaviors are determined by a person's characteristics and social situation. Social situations frequently have a stronger influence on behavior than on a person's characteristics. Slide 8. The key theorists in social psychology are: Henry Tajfel and John Turner experimented with psychology, dealing with cognitive aspects and social identity theory, McLeod, 2023. The work would aid in an understanding of how individuals perceive themselves as members of different groups through identification, such as sports team participants, members through religion, and other identities, like race or gender. Stanley Milgram, who was an American social psychologist, is famous for the Milgram experiment. He illustrated how authority influences obedience. Albert Bandura created the social learning theory, SLT. Credited for the Bobo doll experiment, the theorist proved that a child does not require direct support to learn new behaviors, but rather obtain and replicate deeds and manners by looking at what others are doing. Simply Psychology, 2024. Slide 9. The experiment. Henry Tajfel conducted the minimal group paradigm experiment to demonstrate how categorization and minimal conditions can lead to group discrimination. In this experiment, he formed groups based on minimal and meaningless criteria and then assigned meaning to these groups to observe when discrimination would occur. These experiments were known as minimal group studies because Tajfel was looking at groups that people had the minimal reason to feel loyal to. His theory explains the cognitive processes and social conditions that drive group behavior. When individuals belong to a social identity group, they experience a sense of belonging, purpose, self-worth, and identity. Evaluation. The social identity theory has significantly impacted research in social psychology, influencing studies on prejudice, stereotyping, social influence, and intergroup conflict. Its profound influence and undeniable relevance in social psychology remain significant. The minimal group paradigm experiment has supported this theory, which is still widely used today and has become influential in supporting the theory. However, critics argue that the theory needs to consider the influences of cultural norms, individual personalities, and individual experiences, which are crucial in shaping an individual's identity and interactions. Slide 10. Similarities and differences between behaviorism and social psychology. The differences between the two theoretical standpoints are the following. 1. In social psychology, learners actively contribute to their learning. According to this perspective, individuals choose who to attend to, which behavior to recall, when and where to replicate these actions, and how to react to the effects of their manners. However, from the behavioral viewpoint, learners are believed to simply react passively to their surroundings. 2. Social psychology distinguishes the difference between acquisition and behavioral performance. This means that individuals can notice a behavior, recall it, and add it to their repertoire, yet they might not replicate it. On the other hand, the behavioral perspective contends that learning and performance are similar, and behaviors have only been learned if reproduced. 3. In social psychology, it is determined that actions can become fixed. Bandura referred to these fixed behaviors as internalized. On the contrary, if the behavioral standpoint was correct, people's behaviors would consistently be shifted in reaction to new reinforcements. 4. Finally, social psychology experiments are always focused on the measurement of visible actions. Most of the tests are conducted in controlled environments, such as laboratories. Conversely, in behaviorism, its research subjects are always human beings, and its results are backed by natural observations. The similarities between the two approaches are as follows. 1. Both perspectives devote their concentration to observable behavior. In the same sense, behaviorism studies visible actions that are learned through interactions within an environment, whereas social psychology emphasizes observable actions when it claims that behaviors have been learned from one observing and imitating others. 2. The two theories also acknowledge the importance of the environment in shaping behavior. Behaviorism confines the impact of environmental stimuli on individual action. Social psychology also points out an aspect of this role, that is, the social interactions. 3. Both theories tie generally to the concepts of utility maximization. Reinforcement, however, is considered by behavioral psychologists to be synonymous with the maximization of rewards and decreasing punishments. The same goes with social psychology, replicating behaviors that give positive results. 4. Both approaches deal with developing a framework for predicting behavior, either through analyzing reactions to stimuli, behaviorism, or through assessing observational learning, social psychology. 5. Finally, each theory has some element of learning as part of it. For example, while behaviorism looks at how repeated experiences shape behavior, social psychology takes into account the mental processes in learning, observing how one learns through the situation of another. Slide 11. Application of the two psychological perspectives to contemporary issues in psychology. Contemporary issues in psychology are profoundly affected by the continuously evolving landscape of technology, ecosystems, cultures, societies, and lifestyles. Inequalities in society, including poverty and lack of access to healthcare, contribute to higher rates of mental health. Those in disadvantaged communities are often the most affected. Another issue that I feel requires immediate attention is the impact of social media and digital technology on mental health and well-being. The widespread use of social media platforms and digital connectivity has raised severe concerns about cyberbullying, internet addiction, and the adverse effects of constant screen usage on mental health. Dowd, C., Kishi, R., Justino, P., Marche, G., 2018. The ethical considerations related to emerging scientific advancements, such as artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and neuroscience research, present complex challenges for psychologists and society. Slide 12. Application of behaviorism. Applied in action modification, where it is used in therapy, such as cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, to treat conditions like depression and education, particularly positive reinforcement, NHS 2025. The approach is used in habit formation since it helps to nurture healthy routines and prevent bad habits, Dowd et al., 2018. Slide 13. Application of social psychology. Can be used to address prejudice since it provides strategies to lower discrimination and bias and foster diversity, thus creating a more inclusive society, Dowd et al., 2018. It helps in discerning online activities and their psychological consequences on individuals, Trentu, 2024. Slide 14. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is a psychotherapy that Aaron Beck developed in the 1960s. This structured and evidence-based approach aims to help individuals identify and change negative thought patterns and behaviors to improve their mental well-being. By working with a therapist, individuals can explore the connections between their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and learn how to challenge and reframe negative thinking patterns. This process can help address a wide range of mental health concerns, including but not limited to anxiety, depression, eating disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, substance misuse, and phobias. CBT provides individuals a sense of security and confidence as they work towards positive change, offering a clear and practical path to improved mental well-being. Strengths of CBT. CBT is highly effective in treating conditions such as depression, can be completed in a short amount of time compared to other therapies. It is highly structured. Limitations of CBT. It is not a suitable treatment for all mental health conditions. The CBT and work in between sessions can be time-consuming and require much commitment. The structured approach of CBT may not suit all individuals. Slide 15. Biological psychology's approach to understanding mental health involves studying how the brain and nervous system affect behavior, thoughts, and feelings. It considers the impact of medications on the brain and how they can be used to manage and treat psychological conditions. This includes studying the effects of different medications, how they work, and how they can be tailored to address specific psychological symptoms. It's crucial to be aware of the potential side effects of medications and their interaction with other substances, also the development of new drugs to improve mental health treatments. Strengths. Medications can offer rapid relief from severe symptoms and help manage symptoms over the long term. Additionally, medications can complement other forms of treatment, e.g. therapy. Limitations. Medication only works for some. Finding the proper medication and dosage can be a trial and error process with the potential for unpleasant side effects. Medication is not a comprehensive solution on its own. It should ideally be combined with other forms of therapy or support for the best outcomes, promoting a holistic approach to mental health treatment. Slide 16. Summary. Psychology continues to shape our understanding of human behavior and contributes to solving social challenges because it provides valuable insights into the workings of the human mind. By studying psychological principles, we can better understand why people behave as they do and develop strategies to address social issues such as mental health and prejudice. Psychology also equips us with the knowledge to create interventions and programs that positively impact individuals and communities. This ongoing contribution of psychology underscores its significance in addressing the complex dynamics of human behavior and societal issues. Thank you.